Okie dokie. All right. Cooking with the gasoline. There we are. Hi. So, on my day so far, I've been getting a bunch of stuff done. And having a good time doing it. So, got a few things to tell you about. Some fun things to show you. And a new setup in the studio. So, woohoo! All right. Today's page. Let's get right down to it. Today's page is the suggestion for this page was haunted. He's looking in the book. Person in a house that everyone knows is haunted, and then it says, "Can anyone hear me?" Yeah. So what I did was it's a person in a house that everybody knows is haunted. So here's the person who built the house, and so the second page is talking about how proud he is of his house and wandering around in it. And then the second page is where some, that's right, 2 pages. And then the second page is where a couple of the members of the Scooby Gang are wandering around the house completely ignoring him because they don't really see real ghosts. They only see people dressed up in masks. That's my theory. Hey, Jim, how you doing, sir? Welcome aboard. So I gotta check this off before I forget. So that's today's page. Jim, you reminded me, we got myself, Gary Hodges, and Mr. Paul Pate. Well, Mr. Gary Hodges and Mr. Paul Pate are going to be on Jim Luhan's channel tonight on YouTube here. So if you get a chance, check out his latest stream of, hey man, how's your movie going? So, hi, Linda, welcome aboard. Okay, couple things. New backdrop. Oh, you don't have any idea about how crazy this backdrop situation is. I got some stuff to show you. I have reorganized my entire studio. And so what I mean by that is because I'm one who is a work in process kind of a person, and I'll show you. I'm going to break it down. And then I'm doing a video of it as well. But I thought I'd just show you just because, efficiency is efficiency. And I'm kind of pleased with how it's gone. It might not be of any interest to anybody else, but this is my studio space. Now, there is, because I'm downstairs, this is a built-in bookshelf, and in behind this bookshelf is where my sump pump is. But this is a bookshelf on the face, and that's in the corner. And this is another built-in bookshelf, and behind that is the water line. Ooh, embedded and hidden into the house. So then I put shelves across, and so that's what you've always seen with the supplies behind me. And so my desk has been, in the past, my desk has been right here. Okay, that's where my desk was in the space. Now, over here, like I've got a sitting chair there. Here's where my easel setup is. And I've got a long couch that goes across there. I've got a bookshelf there. And then I got a big old 3 bookshelves here. And then my desk's bookshelves. So what I changed was, I don't know if anybody finds this interesting, I do, but I had to take my whole desk apart. Now I built my desk out of the bookshelves, right? So I've put my desk in like this now. So this is where my desk is at, and I've got, of course, a bookshelf right here, and I got a bookshelf in front of, so there's 3 shelves up on the wall, and then there's a bookshelf of 2 shelves in front. So that's more. So these are all bookshelves facing this way now, and then this is my desk, and so I've got the digital area here, and then wires and all the doodaddery, and then I've got where I'm sitting right here, the streaming area, and then I've got space for traditional stuff right here, and then this piece, which actually goes like this, is supplies. And that's you know, the 4 different parts of my desk, and my desk is 12 feet long. So, which is, I know, right? But, and I got all my bookshelves behind me. So that's what you see behind me now. I've actually been doing videos before facing either this way or this way. And now we're going this way. Here's the doorway, by the way. And there's where I keep my guitars. You know, coffee table. Anyhow, so that's the layout that I got working for me now. So my supplies are over here, right? And then there's books, books, books everywhere. You know, books, 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 problems. He's got problems. This is all books as well. And then there's another bookshelf here. Anyways, having the supplies across from me gives me incentive to, oh, you know, I haven't used that in a while, or I haven't, why don't I incorporate that? And then having the other supplies right here, so, and then my desk, my chair, of course, moves, you know, across this area, nice and comfy. But because of the space that I have, it makes me sit up better, which is good for my back. Oh, and there's my window, by the way. So this goes out into the hall, where this was my old studio, was this big. And so my old studio was much smaller. This is a 4-foot tall island with built-in bookshelf. And then there's the door for the facility room. This is Lori's yoga studio now. And then this is just household storage. And then there's the rest of the house. Da-da-da-da-da-da. But, so changing the layout of the studio and moving my desk around the way I did, I'm really happy about it because it gives me all kinds of room for activities. You could do some dancing. Anyways, it's, and then there's the sitting area and more. Anyhow, so this is what I did last night. So maybe Chris is a little bit sleepy, but it's a lot of fun. Oh, I got some stuff to show you. There's a couple of things. So the thing about having the setup in the way as I do now is that I've got this far more easy access to all the books as they go along, and I can, you know, source stuff a lot easier. And I'm kind of keen like a jelly bean on that. There's a couple things I wanted to show you though. Now with all the stuff that you see that I got kicking around in here, there's a couple of things that just sort of really, I just find that they're interesting in the regard that, like here's a book on Dr. Seuss. Do I have a window in the studio? Yes, the window is right there. Window's right beside me. It's so here I am. There's the window. And then so it's woohoo, capitalizing on that. I'm in a dungeon. So here's this Dr. Seuss book that I picked up. It's a biography of Dr. Seuss, and it talks about the explosion of Seuss and all of the things that were produced in order to celebrate his books and all of his other work that he'd been doing and all of his failures. A lot of books don't talk about with creative staples the fact that not everything that they do works, and a lot of the things that they do can't continue because we live in an age now where there unfortunately in North American, Western world history, the images representing people of color were not very flattering, and they would always represent them in negative light. And so even Seuss is responsible for in a few of his images that he also carried on with that tradition. But it's just really, Linda says, I have that book. It's a great read. It's an absolutely fantastic read, isn't it, Linda? But you see just the wealth of creativity this guy had. But unfortunately, it always feels like he's sort of pegged in a certain niche. It's just I really like stuff like that, where you can, Like this is, here's a similar kind of thing. This is The Art of Hergé. This is by Tintin. And this is the 90-year celebration book. And it's just, it's dense, this sucker. And, but it's got so much of his stuff. And it's not just, like you see a lot of his sketch work. You see a lot of his development for the pages, like page layouts. Right? And I really, really, really enjoy that. And in addition to it, you see there, hold on, I'm going to try to find them. There are images of some of the things that he would use for props, you know, for his stories, for his adventures. And the Scepter of Otakar, like just there's a number of things like that in here, and then of course just images of him and his team. This is the team of people that the guy who did Tintin had helping him on his books and doing his product lines and stuff like that. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. If I could harness a team of people like that for whatever I'm doing, what? We could make 2 pages a day. Oh, I did 2 pages today. Well, you get what I mean. Anyways, great stuff. And unfortunately, here's another situation where the first couple adventures of Tintin have the same problem, where the depictions of everybody aren't exactly equal, you know. And so they've recalled his earliest books. And since then, there's been some editing, and then there's a few books that you're just not going to see anymore. But, you know, Tintin, just phenomenal stuff. And I really, really like just the whole expose on a person's working process and examples from across all of his books. Here you go. See, here's another one of the things that's in a shot. And he would put all these things. There's a couple of pages here someplace. There's the toy made based on the boat in the book. Hiya, Tori. Welcome aboard. Look at these toys. Come on, how crazy is that? I love it. There he is with the replicas. These are he had these made, by the way. This isn't just toys. These are replicas that he had made for while he's working on the book, on the project, and that's next level stuff. So a lot of these artists would do source photos and work from those when they were working on their books and their projects, and just phenomenal. And I really enjoyed that animated film that they made based on Tintin recently, with Andy Serkis, and I'm trying to think of the young. I can't think of the young guy's the name. Okay, so another thing that I like is this. This is where you take these exposés on different creators and different artists. And this is Plunkett, right? And I try to keep, this is the sort of stuff that I try to keep in the studio. And these are the sketchbooks of this artist. And this is literally just opening up, and Susanna says maybe one day they will make a book about me. Oh boy, I hope not. The raging maniac runsman used to run through the streets, screaming and barking at cars. I don't know. That's a very sweet idea, Susanna. Tori loved Tintin. Excellent, yeah. Tintin, you know, Belgian. But look at this. Look at this. This is just a person's imagination spit out onto paper. That might be my favorite looking Batman I've ever seen. Look at this crazy musculature. And it's wonderful. I mean, this is just wonderful that here's the rough and raw illustrations of this guy. You can see this light gestural line. Look at this. Hold on, I'll switch the camera. Because that, now here's your drawing it. You see that most people will produce with enhanced lines, darker lines, you know, lines that have been cleaned up and tightened. But look at the looseness in this gesticulative way that he's done these. And that is fantabuloso. And of course, when he gets down to his finished work, look at that lovely, lovely work. Beautiful graying out. You know. So this is S. Plunkett's one of his a book on him, collecting a bunch of his sketchbooks, and it's got a foreword from Kaluta, who's another phenomenal contemporary artist. But look at that! How fun's that? Put your hands up, stick 'em up. Dirigibles. When I was a kid, I used to love to read Edgar Rice Burroughs books, and on Mars they had basically boats in the air, flying boats, and they would have these huge pirate type battles in these boats in the sky, and I've always loved that, you know. Look at that. See the portrait, and then you see the actual dude. That's good fun. But again, just all this fun work in the shape language of this musculature on this caveman type, and then you've got this gesticulative line, this softer lead that's being used. Just wonderful. Just a real mastery and sense of form there. And look at that pure imagination kicking out. Somebody opening a door out into this fantastical place. Good stuff. So this is the kind of stuff that I have kicking around. I'm not sure what shelf that came off of, so I'll just set that on top of this shelf. This is the sort of stuff that I have kicking around the studio, and I've been trying to show you different parts and pieces of it as we go. This is Charlie Adlard. Okay, this is the guy who has drawn The Walking Dead. This is the co-creator of The Walking Dead, and so this is him in his studio. And so because of this is the art of Charlie Adlard. So you've got pages and pages of the work that he did developing up The Walking Dead. Like, look at that, fantastic depth. This follows, by the way, the rule, the rule of black, white, and gray. Black in our foreground, gray in the imaging of these buildings and remote trees, and white, the washed out background. That's a fantastic example of that. That's a real mastery of limitation, right? It's really having a solid grasp on how to put together that image. What do we got here? Here's the same thing. Look, black in our foreground, graying out for this industrial complex, and then the background just whited out. Look at these leaps that he's taking. It's crazy scary. Not a big Walking Dead guy, just not. People like it. Tends not to be my jam. Okay, there you go. There's a layout from pencils. And then there's where he takes the composition. There's where he takes the drawing. So he starts here, gets all the structure put together, gets all the shape language together for the drawings, and then when he does the finishes, he adds dimension to that through the ink. But before you even get to this part, he's planned it out here. You gotta have an idea of where the different contrasting elements are in light and dark. Black and white is the basics of the Walking Dead books, and there's not a lot of intermediate value there. So he has to really have a clear understanding of black and white, and yet while he doesn't have intermediate values, what he does have is detail language, right? The hedges, the trees in the background here are shapes. They're just abstract shapes to represent the hedge and the pile of refuse or whatever it is, where there's clear linear, there's clear delineation here of these objects, real nice precise lines, and that's how he separates this from the background, even though both planes are in black and white, And even though one could easily fall into the other, the reason that it feels like it's moved up and off of that is because of the fact that he's figured out the difference between those two, softer, harder. And in our foreground, of course, is the white. So even though he's not using a gray or anything like that, he's still doing it in the images. So Charlie Adler, real fantastic creator. And these are scary. I know they're black and white, and I know they're not real, and I know they're just illustrations, but there's some real creepiness to them. There's a contemporary artist that I like, a fellow named Fiorentino, who's got the creep setting up on full. Look at these crazy designs for spaceships and soldiers fighting, and real exploration into his career. Here he is doing some Judge Dredd. What do we got here? What is this? Oh, so interior pages from a book, Wendigo. You can see how he uses the gray border around. Heavy. This is so. The reason it feels like it's purple is that you can see all the blue line in the illustration. Like he goes over in ink, but there's a Batman, of course. Just an early work, and you can see where he starts from. So that's one Charlie Adler book. This is another. This is another sketchbook on his work and his processes. So this is what I'm referring to. You can barely see it, but that's light blue line. This non-reproduction blue. But look here. So see the pencil work that he's done here? And how light that all is before it goes into that ink? Like, that's fantastic. Honestly, I feel much stronger about this book if it were left in this sort of state. Art-wise. Lots of characters. Graphic stuff. I'm sorry if it's upsetting your sensibilities here. But this is some of his sci-fi work. Here's some stuff he's done with music. But look at that skyline. That's fantastic. It's blowing up, but just good stuff. An all-around fantastic creator. But so yeah, it doesn't necessarily relate to the examples. The first two examples where there's definite aspects of their body of work that is hard to reproduce in today's age because of cultural sensibilities, right? But even still, this is Johnny Comet. This is Frank Frazetta, and Frank Frazetta is known for his novel work, his Ace Publishing. He would do all the covers for the Edgar Rice Burroughs books and Tarzan's. He did some Tarzans, and he did just a wealth of fantasy imagery. He did some pretty great EC cover books. I'll show you one. I've got this is a full-size repro, and just for craziness' sake, this is a full-size reproduction of the original pages that the artwork that went into these DC comics from back in the day. I don't know if people have seen these, but this is how big this book is. This is the size of the pages that they're using. These are 20 by 24 pages. And this is a Frank Frazetta cover drawing that he did in one night of this, space adventurer fighting cavemen on a on a cliff edge. And holy guacamole. So, and then of course the original artwork inside is okay, here. This is the size of the pages, and so they've scanned all of this original art. So you can see how they posted paste-ups of the titling and of the text is pasted up over top of the original drawing. But this is these are the original covers for some of these EC issues. But you can see how different Frazetta's cover work was. So, as brilliant as he is and as legendary as he is for fantasy illustration and and then for what comic book work he would do, this is where he started, was doing Johnny Comet, and it's about a race car driver who gets up to all kinds of shenanigans and is tempted by some femme fatales, but he always keeps going back to that nice girl in town, But you can see there's a simplicity in the line that he has. Now, this is again a cultural thing, because it's the girls are either provocateurs or the pure innocent girl of the town, and the men are always men. They're macho men, or they're cads. It's either the noble guy or a bad character, a bad actor. So pretty opaque, pretty basic representation for people, and yet there's just something lovely to this. But what I wanted to show this though is that the differentiation of value, he has separated where she is in relationship to where she is by simply making this back wall of the room black, because of the similarity in value for her and for her. You've got this light body of space that separates the two of them, and then this black body of space that just confirms it and clearly divides this shape right here, clearly divides this one from this one, these two different planes. So again, this is stuff that a lot of books are losing now, folks. There's a contemporary artist that I would suggest is pretty fantastic for this right now, and that is Pepe Larraz. I really enjoy his work right now. Look at this. This is he's crashed into what is it he's hit? It's a blockage, a bunch of timbers in the road, and look at them all smashing to bits. It feels like that's wood being smashed to bits. But there's real depth. Like, look at the silhouette on this vehicle brings a sense of intensity, and then we're looking over his shoulder. So darkest value is where we are, gray as we go to the front of the car, and in white is in the place across the way. Hey, Chris, welcome aboard. So, just it's something that I think a lot of books that are coming out today have no grasp of. There's a great deal of books being made right now that kind of miss that mark. Now this is Stuart Immonen's work. I'm a big fan of Stuart Immonen stuff, and here is a guy who has a real sense of that depth. Okay, so. And now this is pretty reliant on color as well, but and I'll show you Pepe Larraz in a second. So here we are. Here's Angel in the foreground. Now the problem with the coloring is that the coloring changes the original black and white art. So and I'll show you a really cool example of that in a second. But here he is in the foreground, and there's a lot of black shadowing in his costume. And what that actually does is it establishes that black form, so that his light wings, this is a guy with wings, he's called Angel, his body is before that is, but then the environment behind it is dark again. So we're talking about the same stuff of, like, these separations of planes, but while we understand that that's farther back, and this is not connected to this gray intermediate value separates him in the background. So that's Stuart Immonen's work. And so a lot of these young artists have come up that draw very similar to Stuart. And not to be unfair, but that's their starting place. Now, here is the bad guy, and he's zapped this young guy, and she's upset because she felt it, wherever she is. Anyways, he's in silhouette. our character, although the coloring suggests that he's, you know, an intermediate value, it's that the line art is very simplistic. But the way that the coloring has set it up is that there's this clear dark area foreground. He's darkened up to match it. There's this intermediate receding receding perspective going backwards, and then behind all of that is this light value. So it's the same thing. It's that's the structured approach to drawing the images. Like, you know, come on, there's a great example of it. The light value for the sleeping tubes, and then the gray intermediate through here, and then just to give a real sense of depth, the roof is all blacked out in shadow, and in the background here is too, just to let you know that it's a big high ceiling in a deep room, you know. So Pepe Larraz is a guy who I think is just another fantastic illustrator. He stunned this guy. He's not actually stunned. He's got a little stun thing in his neck going with a lot of electricity. But see what it does again? Because of the uniformity of the line art through here, and through here. See the gray line separating? There's a separation now for this part to that part. He's got the dark shadows around him to bring him forward. That's your emphasis point that you need to focus on for the image. We separate this guy from the people behind, similar amount of line art, okay? But this person in silhouette separates that plane from that plane. You know, I look for these things in compositions, and the reason that I do so is because it's sort of, there's good contemporary artists, there's bad contemporary artists, there are good artists of the past, bad artists of the past. But you know, it's trying to find a foundational understanding about how to approach drawing, how to approach images, and aside from the stuff that I do with our one-page stories, I'm constantly sketching. Now, this is a sketchbook I generally don't show because this is me scribbling superhero-y stuff, and I've shown this page before, but this is just page after page of drawings on top of drawings, and you know, different anatomy studies, and trying to come up with little ideas about spaceships and things for this project that I'm working on aside from everything else, and just playing with silhouette, shape language, you know, and looking at other people's work, and you know, like how this is drawing from how somebody holds hammers, you know. It's just exploring and trying different things out and seeing, you know, where I can move my own work forward by just scribbling and drawing scenes and separating planes in those scenes, you know. As a tower, you know, it's random stuff. I realize it. That's just a tire. But I just, it goes on and on and on, and you know, this is the most writing that's in the whole book, and these are some foundational rules about the book that I'm working on now, and yet still the rest of the page is all kinds of crazy notes, and this is a big octopus island, and it looks like an octopus. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, you know, even as I'm looking at these books, I'm trying to do studying myself still, and I think that sort of approach helps us to figure out where we're going and developing our story ideas, to take them more artistically in a direction that helps us to tell our stories better. And in order to do so, it's important that we're always, you know, practicing and trying to improve ourselves. So, anyhow, I've got all kinds of pages and things to work on. I showed recently all the new stuff that I've done. I've only got a couple pages left. 3 pages left of that big block of stuff that I prepared that the one day. It's a lot of fun looking at your sketchbook. Oh, that's very nice, AJ. But we've got lots of suggestions to work from still. But this is, at this point, I should probably do the thing I always forget to do, and that is to say, if you've got 1-page story ideas, and I realize that this week I've done 2 pages and a 3-page story, but generally they're 1 pages, and you know, if you've got a story idea or just a sentence of conversation or some word prompts or just a notion, like what if this happened, you know, please feel free to put them in the chats if it's during the live video, in the comments if it's afterwards or a regular video, and or on Instagram, Facebook, or Patreon. And I've got a bunch of pages. I realize that I'm behind on posting for Patreon. I apologize for that, but busy in a tizzy. So I will do so. I promise you. So I've got a couple more suggestions that have come in that I'm gonna have to jump on. I got a really great one. Robert Vett just sent me a fantastic one the other day, and we will be getting to all of those. But in the interim, I'm just going to keep plugging along. So, you know, I think I hear Lori coming home. Jim says, future 1-page idea, the Mount Rushmore of Canadian guys named Brian. Just put it in the book. That's silly. Is that because former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney passed away? What is it? The Mount Rushmore of Canada. The Mount Rushmore of Canadian guys named Brian. That's great. That's good fun. Thanks, Jim. So 10 o'clock EST tonight is when I'll be joining Jim on his stream with Paul Payton and Gary Hodges. If you're able to jump in on that, I don't know what that translates to in your timetable, but that's 8 hours from now in mine. Brian Adams, no. He's French. He lives in Paris. That's the reason. That's the excuse I'm using for him not to be in that. I'm just gonna cut through that idea like a knife, because that feels so right. Anyways. Okay, so yeah, I've got a bunch of images to work through here, a bunch of surfaces to do. Let's go. I'm going to work on this one today. If it corresponds to whatever the 1-page idea that we pick out. This is a print that I'd done of a field, and we're going to use this as a backdrop. So I've reused. I just went over it in blue paint. This is the stuff that blue is the thing that I draw the most. I've drawn entire books in blue, and you know, this blue ballpoint pen. I've shown that on here, I believe. Let's see. We got person with water powers, but only has the ability to desalinate water. Beaver Dam, mass hysteria, auto-correcting text message, or a kitty. Susanna says you do search and watch others work, but as far as I see, you got your own style of making things, drawings, etc. Well, that's well, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's true. I'm not trying to copy other people's work. I'm trying to learn from those things. But no matter what, in the course of our own education, in the course of our own development creatively, in studying other people's work and trying different processes and leaving ourselves to abandon and making mistakes, we're going to grow, and we're going to grow with our own voice. And so there's, don't try to be somebody else. You can look at their work, and even if it's something that you appreciate and value, and you'll try to emulate it to some extent, but they're still going to come through as you. And the reason it's still going to come through as you is because they don't have all of your experiences, and they don't have your muscle memory, and they don't have your way of associating aesthetic decisions as well as your own experiential decisions. So you're not going to be somebody else. You're not going to be a carbon cutting of them. Behind me on the wall is a print of Bill Sienkiewicz' work. And Bill Sienkiewicz, who I've shown on here on the stream before, absolutely phenomenal artist who takes great leaps of mark making using all kinds of different approaches to things, putting ink down, destabilizing the ink, putting another different wash on top, and drying that out with a blow dryer, and coming in again, scrubbing out part of it. Like, it's just the ways that he approaches laying down a composition is just really involved. He started as a young person looking at Neil Adams' cartoon work, and you can't see it out of camera, but right beside Sienkiewicz is coincidentally a Neil Adams Superman drawing, and he copied Neil Adams as best as he could, and did his absolute darndest to emulate Neil Adams, but in almost no time at all, he's taken great changes and great different mark-making approaches that flew against the convention of how Neil Adams would work. And so if you look up something called the Demon Bear story of the New Mutants, you'll see a real departure in Marvel Comics in that book. And he'd already done a whole bunch of different experimentation in Moon Knight that he worked on before that. But when he did the New Mutant series and he did the Demon Bear, it is more akin to graphic design sensibilities, the way that he structures some of these pages, than it is with a foundation of understanding of composition from emulating Neil Adams. But his characterization, his illustrations, is become more his own, and his graphic sensibilities have taken a massive leap away from where he was at. And it really, when it came out, people looked at it and went, "What in the world is this? This is something else." So look it up. Brian Adams called. He's very upset about the comment. I don't know. That's a long distance call, Jim. Susanna says, "I like myself too much to be another person. I like to try others' experiences because they say learn with others' experiences because you won't live long enough to live all of yours." Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I find life's trying to keep up with my own experiences. But if I think what you mean is try to look at the use the experiences that they've had and the educations that they've had and the structure of how they've put things together in order to help to enable you on your growth and your creative path. And I think that's and living path, and that's great. Definitely don't copy somebody else's mistakes, but yeah, it's important that we learn valuable lessons from successes. Okay, well, okay, Pangea. It's one word. I'm just looking for anything that was related to, excuse me, anything that was related to the scene, and we've got Pangea. That's today's suggestion, one word, and I'll put that down. Hi, Elisa, welcome aboard. So this is today's suggestion. If it's spelled wrong, I apologize, but I'll figure out that spelling before I go farther with it. I don't know if you can even see that. Let's see, cut down that light a little bit. Is that better? I think that's better. Okay, Pangea, that's our suggestion today. Hello, Marisa, how are you? So I'll put that up there, and fireflies would look nice on that blue page. They would. I think you're right. So here's my weapon of choice right now. This is the original art is a blue. I can show you if you want to see it. The original book. Okay. So here is the original book that this is from. Now this is a book I drew called The Trials of Apex, written by Owen Boyd. And so this is a book drawn in blue ballpoint pen and a blue pencil. So, you know, bringing the solar system, sun, Earth, getting closer, moving in, right? There's a farm, and it moves all the way into a couple having dinner together, two couples having dinner together. And so as their friends leave at the end of the evening, and they go about he's going to stand out there on the porch, she's going to go inside and clear up the table, and the dog notices something and goes over and is staring out the window where there's a bright light being projected from the back of the house. And when the light washes over her and she drops a container of eggs, it's just clearing up, and then we go to other shots of the interior, and I'm trying to show illumination, trying to use those illustrations. Chris says Pangea and dinosaurs, that's the association I make. Don't ask me why. Probably Pangea was inhabited then. I would think so. So the whole structure of this page is like you see here with this ballpoint pen drawing. I think there it is. There's the original image that this is from. And here's the couple making their way across. So that's what that panel's from. And then they find something out in their field, and they get up closer to it, and it's crazy. So, and anyhow. But that's what this is from. I really enjoyed doing the cover of this book. This is ballpoint pen and blue ink, white ink. So, yeah, this was a fun one. Field of wheat. Okay, so let's start carving this out a little bit. And so I'm going to try a couple different things here. And we're gonna chop away at it before we start. Well, we're gonna chop away and put marks down in equal measure. Chris says, nice cover and art with pen. Oh, thank you. Where did I put? Moving the studio around has made me lose my bearings. Found it. I'm back. Did you miss me? Okay, so let's use some white ink here and start. We'll start up here. We'll do our first panel, and we'll do this in a landscape format just so that we can take advantage of the fact that we do have something to work from here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just incorporate some of what we've already got down here, and start cutting into that. Like so. And we'll just start putting together this first scene. And we're going to put some dinosaurs in, I guess. Anybody got choice of dinosaurs? How you doing, April? Welcome aboard. So I know that I've said that I've only confirmed that I'll be doing streaming on Thursday. If I'm up for it on other days, I will stream, but I absolutely promise you I'll be here on Thursdays. But I've got a few projects on the go right now, and you know, something's got to give. And if there's anything I've learned the last few years, it can't be my health. So this is one of these stamps that I picked up recently. I stamped into the wet ink and smashed that pattern on a little bit, and just because it's interesting. So there we go. We got to start into crafting this environment here. And has anybody got, Chris, don't be too awesome today. Save about 35% of that awesome for tonight's show. I'll do my best. Okay, so how do we want to do this? This is Pangea. Do we want to make up a fantastical Pangea? Do we want to do a... oh, Jim's heading out. Got to head out. I'll see you later. Everybody have a wonderful day. Just before Jim goes, one more time, 10 p.m. tonight on Jim's channel. Hey, man, how's your movie going? And he's having myself, Gary Hodges, and Paul Pate as guests. So if you're able to come out to that, it's going to be good fun. 10 p.m. EST. All right, so I'm going to chop into this space here, and we'll start carving out our first. Excuse me a sec. Sorry. Our first panel, literally just for the title, and in that way, we've got a starting position for us to get moving from. See if pencil, sort of works. Let's put some marks down in here. So I've got this line set up for myself so I don't, so I keep it within the panel shape that I've got established. So we'll add something to that in a second, and then we'll come up here and we'll cut in some more of the sky shape. I don't mind this. I'm going to leave this. I kind of like it. All right. Okay, let me get my sleeves rolled up here a little bit. So there we go. We've got a rough shape for our first panel cut out. And is there, well, I don't, maybe that's a loaded question saying, is there a dinosaur that people think I should do? Let's just get right into it. I'll do a Diplodocus or something like that. Or, Diplodocus. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's just get crack-a-lackin'. Okay, so yeah, Pangea. Now maybe in this next, I'll do a panel. So we're going to try something a little bit different today. And so what that is that I'm going to cut up the panels like so that there are a number of overlapping images. Okay, and so what I mean by that is that the reader is going to follow one to the next, and it'll be sort of, we're going to try the approach for the storytelling here as though it's a bunch of cascading shapes one over the other, and just as an interesting way to move the eye around. You know what I mean there, Vern? Alright, so if we, I should probably look up the shape of Pangea. That might be helpful, but So we'll do the landmass of Pangaea here. Yeah, I think I gotta look up and see what is Pangaea. Okay, so we'll do a map of Pangaea here. So we've got our established view of the world, and then we'll do our layout of our map. It's not too different than us, really. Today it's just sort of continental drift has made different shapes of things. But so we'll do this in this next panel here is we'll establish this global perspective, this global map. But we'll do our title over top of here, and then we'll do our world map here. And so we'll just utilize the backgrounds, and then I'll do the contrasting values in here in just a second. I'll show you what I mean by that, because we're doing this light color for the water and this leaving the darker value for the landmass. So if I come in, so that's half the world because this darker value is over here. So if I want to continue this on the opposite side, where did I put it? There it is. So we'll just do the rest with this pen and just carry this on. So even though it's, you know, different approaches, different mark making tools, it's the idea we're trying to get across with the storytelling, more so than we're worried about any specific rules about mark making mediums or anything like that. And then we're using this lighter value of blue here as our oceans, per se. And we'll carry this like so. And in this way we can do our drawing of the map, a global world map here of Pangaea. Because it's not that all the details are important, it's the storytelling ideas that we're trying to work out and get across, right? Oh, before I forget, some of the stuff that I was talking about earlier with the different planes, there's a intermediate, dark, and then this light punch of value behind that in order to separate this from this from this. You know, I hope you can see that, but that was the intent for that. So there's our world map of Pangaea, and then this, these borders that are around. Now I'll clean this up in Photoshop and just white it right out, but just to make it understandable while we're putting the story together. So this is all whited out. And we're focusing on these specific borders for the composition. And we're going to do the same thing again that we've done here, and then we're going to put another plane underneath. Or we have an option on this one, and that option is that we can have one of the characters in our story moving through into this plane. It still carries the eye across, but we're not taking too big of a leap with it. So if I draw a dinosaur in this panel, let me see if I can find a real photograph of a real dinosaur. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe those don't exist, Christopher. So we're just going to take a leap. I don't know what was alive during Pangaea, but we're going to have a big old dino. So, so we'll put one here, and then we'll put another one in the background there behind. And the reason that I'm doing two like this is to give a sense of depth. And we're going to be able to utilize some of this imagery here as well in what we're doing. So, now the artist Winsor McCay, who did Little Nemo in Slumberland, well, Winsor McCay did a book, I'm sorry, there's been a number of collections of books collecting his artwork, but Winsor McCay also did some of the earliest animation, if not the earliest animation work, where he would take a whole sequence of drawings and they would film them. And he would draw a dinosaur, and he would do a vaudevillian stage performance. And he would toss a rock across the stage at the screen, and time it in accordance with his drawing, so that it would look like he was throwing this rock to the dinosaur. And the dinosaur in the illustration would eat the rock and gulp it down, because that's what dinosaurs ate, as far as he was concerned, really. So whenever I start drawing a dinosaur, I always think of Gertie the dinosaur from Winsor McCay. So we know so much more now in the world, but it's the early days of exploring fossil records and trying to learn and develop a clear understanding of what dinosaurs did and what their lifestyle patterns were. Okay, so we're putting in this dinosaur in the silhouette in the background, and then here in the foreground is where I'm going to draw the second dino, and then we'll get more going on with this in a second. I'm just getting the shape of it put together. So here's our Pangea page, and so we've established a place for our title to spread across that has an interesting background, and utilizing some of the mixed media image that we start with. Then we've put our Pangea world map to introduce the reader into the context of the narrative, and then we have immediately just leapt right into some of the story in and of itself. And this, without having a clear understanding of where we're going with this, by experimenting and exploring, just starting to do some drawing, and in this context drawing some dinos, and to draw some contextual imagery, like some stuff that's related to this suggestion, is starting to help us ourselves develop what our story is going to be. I gotta tell you, with the new setup, the way my seat is now, it's so much easier on my back. It's one of the reasons for the big shakeup in my space here, was that it's a challenging thing to find the right dynamic to sit and work, because of my height, my size, is that it's hard to find a comfortable seating position. So happy. Alright, so let's see what we can pull out of here. This is the same as that, so I don't know that this is necessarily going to work, but we'll bring it down here anyways. And then we'll come in with a pen or some ink, and we'll have some more fun with some of the values in this dinosaur. But let's further this background. Right? That's peeking through here. We'll continue that across. Now, I do this from time to time when I'm drawing, is that I'll leave a space in the background from where the foreground character is. It's very unnatural, and it's very loosey-goosey with, by separating out the foreground character from the background with that little gap of space. It's a stylistic decision on one level, but on another, it's an easier way just to tell you that this has been in front of that. But mind you, I haven't done that between the two dinosaurs either, so it's just playful language. so I come through here and I will cut in a border around old Pangea, and this will help to pop our dinosaurs into in front, so that sort of clarifies them being in front, pops them in front of the frame for this image, even though they're not very far into it. With that, let's do a bit of mark making around here. I'm back. I was attaching the whiskers to the otter I'm making with needle felting. Wool. That's awesome, Chris. I have to figure out about Friday, Chris, because I forgot it's Easter. So I have to check my schedule before I forget. And I'll send you a message today. Okay, so I'm putting, oh, I'm sorry, camera's going crazy. Which one is this? It's that one. Okay, I'll switch to the other camera. I'm so sorry. Here, we'll move this in. There, it's a little easier to see. I really apologize. I didn't realize I was still on that camera. All right. Look at the quality of this video work here. Blurry half the darn show. So here's a little more clear representation. So I've got this loose white line developed in here, which I'll beef up when I put it in the computer and put some really nice clean line borders on here. But there, oops, sorry, there is the first panel and how it sits out in front of the second. I suppose what I should do is continue this blue shape into the sky there. Since this is a similar rule to what I've done here. Now that blends into this a little bit better. Locks that shape into the composition so it doesn't just feel awkward and out of place. There we go. So there we are. So here's our first panel that our title will go over top of. It looks like an aurora borealis. Oh, you're right. No problem. If it's not possible, we can work on another day. Forgotten about that too. Yeah, we'll figure something out. We'll figure out. Big fan of you, Chris. I want to hang out with you. Okay, so here's our Pangea. Whoops, oh, sorry. Our Pangean map, and we can come in here with this again, this white jelly roll pen, and do a little bit of outlining some of these shapes, just to sort of tie all of this imagery together. Now, I've taken real leaps with, somebody's going to look at it and go, oh, that's not exactly the shape of Pangea. Probably not. It ain't perfect. It's an otter. So that ties our map together a little bit now because it has this consistency. The consistency of the white line, the white outline on the landmass, that even though this and this is a completely different approach to making that rough value, they're still tied together because of the outline and the dark value for the land and the light value for the background. At the end of the it's a gift, and I don't want the person who's getting it to see it. Uh-oh. I look forward to seeing it after you've handed it off. Don't forget to take a picture. Don't forget to take a picture. So here is our big old dino drawing. And so this pushes this thing forward. Is it perfect? No. But it's the idea that we're trying to make you connect to the fact it's a dinosaur. We don't know. Maybe they're all covered in feathers. But the white line around the outside of this guy serves to separate him from the background. And in order to separate, hey Paul, how you doing? Just talking about you. In a bad way. No, in a good way. Looking forward to tonight. So, and we're going to do the same thing with the white here. So here we're pulling our dinosaurs into the foreground now by just pushing these planes along by separating with the contrast. Right? Is okay? Is alright? So we'll finish putting in some more of these details on him. Now, we've got a clear, established context for our narrative. You know, the world. We've stepped in and stepped in again into this world. I'm gonna do this. So that when I come down here in the panel, there we are. So I filled this in up at the top so that when I come down into the bottom of the panel here, it's going to connect. And then we'll put some foliage at their feet. And then this will be the size of the panel, which I recognize that these guys are stepping out of it. That's because that's more interesting. I believe dinosaurs has feathers in most cases. And some others had scales and bright colors, like lizards or iguanas or chameleons. Okay. Carry this line across the top as well. So we're doing a little bit of world building first and foremost here. Rather than getting right into our narrative, we're just doing some world building, and the narrative part of it, where the story is going to really come through, is we've left lots of space, lots of volume around this image, these images here, so that you can fit dialogue, right, all throughout here, to start to establish what is happening here in this world that we're building. Broke this pencil. Oh, great. I have to sharpen it now. I'm gonna sharpen it. Yeah, there's some really interesting images of velociraptors and the like where they've got their feathers on them, and you're like, whew, that's being chased and attacked by a giant chicken. Threatening chickens. Okay, so let's see what else we can do in this. Let's come in with the ink again, and we'll put let's play with this in our foreground. And I'm going to come in with this really light application of white here. Just give me a sec. Un momento, s'il vous plaît. This week is just flying by. You know, you're busy, and you don't think about things too clearly until it's already, what's my due date? When's this? What's happening? Okay, so I'll let that settle for a second. And in the meantime, I'm going to draw some more of this guy. And we'll just have his hind section. So what I'm going to do here is carry his tail out like so. And I'm going to put it over top of this space. So this is the bottom line for the, I'm going to make this value I'm going to make this this part of the dinosaur sticking down below this frame of reference and sticking outside of it now into the next one. And the next frame will continue on in our cascading motif, and we'll put this frame moving across like so. And then we'll come up in here. We're going to drop it down again. Now, I was considering putting it at the same height, same height as this one, but we're going to move it down a little further again just to give that sense of, it's just movement in those panels, implied movement. And now we've got our dinosaur popping out of this one. You know, he's not really laid into this panel either, so it's kind of just playing with the environment, playing with the way that we're representing the world. The pencil I have is working better. It's a Faber-Castell. Am I missing stuff? Hiya, Lazello. Sorry I missed saying hello to you when you came in. Back to school next Tuesday, April 2nd. I'm busy evaluating some tasks, but I want the week to go slow. Well, in honor of that, Chris, I'm gonna slow her right down and talk like Dr. Phil. Nobody wants the vacation to end too quickly. Am I right? Yeah. So in the sky here, so we're going to stretch and monkey around with our story now. People says you should do stand-up. I have done stand-up. We're going to put something in the sky. And so as we've moved our story across, and the direction of our dinosaur carries this movement across as well. So in the sky, right here, let's put some little marks in there. Okay, and then the rest of it's going to be built up with this white. And so what we're drawing here is something coming out of the sky and falling towards the earth. So a nice and simple approach to it, just to sort of, you know, sell the idea of a crashing satellite, a crashing meteorite. I say satellite in the geological sense, but so I've cut the ink now, and I'm going to just somewhat washed out, and we're going to put the illumination around it that way, so you get the idea. It's nice and hot and bright. Yeah, I did a stand-up competition here in London years ago. It's fun. But, no. Comedians they actually do a lot of writing of their jokes. And I was just an ad-libbing guy. It's Maritza saying hi to everybody there. It's very nice of you. So I usually ask this, if anybody has stuff that they're working on that they want to tell anybody about, please feel free to do so. Chris says, I do subscribe to an artist named Angry Miko here on YouTube. It reminded me of your approach to create images with light and shadows. I think you'd like his approach. Angry Miko. I'll have to look that up. Sounds fun. A person after my own mind. Oh, ballpoint pen. I'll just carry this across over here. Now, ideally, I should be using this nice light blue that I've got through here, but we'll just keep it going this way. We'll come back in here and push this down with the white instead. I'm trying to build up a light blue above it. Now we can also have, you know, this is our story that we're doing, so we can also have some leaps, you know, outside of, you know, what we know to be true, and, you know, well, Pangea, this is who existed at that time, and you know, this is who didn't, and you know, these people were running around with the dinosaurs and whatever other idea. We can do that, or we can just say, hey, it's our story, we're going to have some silly fun, and we're going to try some different things. Who knows? Caveman, spaceships, Gleep, Glop, and Glorp. I think that's the name of the Muppets. Yep. There's 3 Muppets, and they're basically just mouths, and they would work at 3 different timed patterns. Yep. It's yip yap. Oh yeah, it's yip yap and yap, not Gleep, Glop, and Glop. It's yip yap and yap is the name of them. I used to love those Muppets. I was younger. I've got lots of silly things in my studio here. I got the entire Electric Mayhem over there on a shelf. That's the name of the band, by the way, the Muppet Show. As well as, you know, Ralph the Dog playing a little bit of a patter music there. You know. So here's our environment as we're drawing it in now. But what we want you to focus on is this. Whoops, I'm sorry. This in the sky. But we're still getting our different drawing of grass and such in here. What kind of dinosaurs had a Christosaurus Rex? It's great to include people there. There are places with human and dinosaur footprints, right? Supposedly happened at the same time, so humans and dinos could have existed. It's how we do it, right? Like this is Pangea, so in all honesty, we can do whatever we want, even though the suggestion is, you know, maybe even if the person that suggested it is that do a story set rooted firmly in Pangean times and you only utilizing characters that are from Pangea, that's, you know, we can do our story in that approach, or we can just use the term Pangea as our title here, but we can take great creative leaps with what characters we use and what actually Pangea looks like in our little world that we're building here inside of our story. So just putting some fun little patterns through the dino skin. Camping those out and coming back in with a couple of more. There we go. So here's our, so here we are. So here's the top part of our whole page is we've got in now. Yeah, well, I was going to do this. I was going to clear this back a little bit. Where did that, there you are. Get over here. So now this is going to be a lighter blue than the panel beside it, ideally. I think they're just blending together. That's okay. Oh, good fun. Yeah, whatever your story that you're doing, depending on, well, it's a serious autobiographical, tell of, experiences. Well, that's one kind of story. But if you're doing something from your imagination that isn't recounting actual events, if you're doing something that you're taking creative leaps with, just go for it and just push those as far away. I mean, we could have this dinosaurs playing with a big giant red inflatable ball and having just a great old time. People will look at it and go, "Is it dinosaurs playing soccer?" You bet it is. And it's it's called football the rest of the world. Steve. There. Okay, so here's the first part of our page done. So we've got our space for our title and start introducing the story elements and introducing Pangea. And then we've got our first two characters. And then we move into this next panel that, of course, they're still in this environment, but we've sort of separated them by embossing them forward out of the plane that they start in, the frame reference here, and then stepping over top of this frame reference as well. So it just, and then the area around the panels is all whited out because it's not going to be in there anyhow. We'll just take that out and clean those edges up. But yeah, and to make it a little more interesting, I think I'll do a couple more modifications on the surface of this. And just put some tape in. I've got a blue masking tape here. I'm just going to put a couple of pieces of that in there just because I like making it complicated for myself. So I'll pull back and we'll see where we're at. So here's what we've done with our time, in addition to the books and whatever else we've been doing. So here's our start, and this is the start of a page from a suggestion from DDW, and the suggestion was Pangea, which is a really open-ended suggestion, so we're going to have an awful lot of fun. Just April says, I can toss a brown pig around and be playing football. Oh my gosh, that's fun. Tossing the actual pig. April. Oh man. Alright, so I've got just some pieces of tape spread throughout here. There's a lot of white space on this page, and so I'm just going to put some tape in here and just to give it a little bit of interesting complexity to it. So there we go. We're pretty well started on this page, and here we go. Put that in there. So we're pretty well started on this page, and it's just a case of continuing on with this crazy narrative and picking and choosing things as we go along. But I don't want to show you all that because then you'll miss the fun of the reveal. So, and I gotta get back to doing a couple things. Thanks everybody for coming and hanging out. I know that the live streams, when I'm able to do them, they're not that long, but I appreciate people coming to hang out. I hope you're finding some interesting things from that. Some things to try out and play with. I like putting tape in because it's another interesting thing to have to draw. Try stuff like this, right? Geez, I know it's work's fault. They're making it work. There you go. Well, click a pigskin around the office place there, April. You can't see that chat in the video maybe, but April said that she's making the reason she made a brown pig joke getting kicked around by the dinosaurs. She's at work and it's making her like that. So I suggest that kick a pigskin around my office. Okay, I'm gonna get back to some of the things I gotta get done. There are lots more announcements coming up. Thank you very much everybody for hanging out. Try some of the different approaches if you like, and give them a go. And if there's any suggestions that you come across that I've been working on doing one pages from, and you want to take those suggestions and make some kind of creative expression, please do so. I'd love to see it. It's definitely going to be different than whatever I'm doing because it's from you, and that's fantastic. Okay, I'm going to get back to it, and I will talk to you probably tomorrow. Okay? Bye for now, everybody. Thanks for coming in.